The countdown to a possible new flashpoint between US and Israel has begun. And this also includes Iran. US President Donald Trump is weighing the most powerful military options. Israel says it is bracing for the next round of strikes, while Iran warns of devastating retaliation. Our next report explores if America and Iran are edging closer to a dangerous confrontation. Take a look.
The waters of the Strait of Hormuz are turning into a flashpoint. The US and Iran are edging closer to a dangerous confrontation. The US administration appears to be preparing a blueprint for a short and powerful wave of strikes on Iranian infrastructure. A possible operation to take control of the Strait of Hormuz and a special forces mission to secure Iran's enriched uranium stockpile. The US is pushing its military to consider even more advanced strike options. Reports say Washington is considering deploying one of its most advanced weapon systems, the Dark Eagle hypersonic missile, for possible use against Iran, marking the first time Washington would deploy the technology. The Dark Eagle is designed for high-speed, long-range strikes. The missile, never used before, is capable of traveling at speeds exceeding 5 times the speed of sound. A range of 3,500 kilometers with speeds up to Mach 17 allows it to conduct deep strikes in less than 20 minutes.
Can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon, and their economy is crashing. The blockade is incredible. The power of the blockade is incredible. They're not getting any money from oil, and hopefully it can be worked out very soon.
Israel has issued a fresh warning to Iran, saying it may have to act again to ensure Tehran does not re-emerge as a threat to Israel.
US President Donald Trump, in coordination with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, is leading the efforts to achieve the campaign's objectives, to ensure that Iran does not once again become a threat to Israel, the United States, and the free world in the future. We support this effort and are providing the necessary support, but it is possible that we may soon have to act again to ensure these objectives are met.
Iran is not backing down. The IRGC has issued a chilling warning. It says that if Iran is attacked again, US warships could burn. Behind the scenes, reports indicate that Tehran is racing against time. It is digging out buried missiles and stockpiling weapons, preparing for rapid retaliation if war resumes. Iran wants to quickly reconstitute its drone and missile capabilities so it can launch attacks across West Asia if Trump decides to resume strikes. After 41 days of fighting, the US unilaterally declared a 2-week ceasefire on April 8th, allowing for negotiations in Islamabad, but peace talks fell through. Ultimately, Trump announced a naval blockade on Iranian ports, but the measure has left the American and European economies bleeding from runaway energy prices. With multiple military options on the table and threats escalating, both sides are preparing for the worst. The big question is how far this war could go. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And to decode this further, we have joining us live on the broadcast Dr. Charles Kupchan. He's a senior fellow at the Council of Foreign Relations and is joining us from Washington, D.C. Dr. Kupchan, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. Now, the big question here being, we're hearing reports of new military plans being on the table for the US president to look at. We're hearing reports of Iran on the other side stocking up and preparing for possibly another war flashpoint. Where in your assessment is this headed next?
I don't think that we are at the edge of a new part of the military campaign. I think in some ways what the Trump administration is doing in coordination with Israel is talking up military options, talking about, as your report just suggested, new missiles. But I think for now, Donald Trump's strategy is to try to give the blockade time to work, to use economic pressure rather than military pressure for now, in part because this is not a war that is very popular with the American public, including his own Republican base. And so I do think that maybe down the road, we will see the military operation resume if a deal is not emerging in the meantime. But my best guess is what we're hearing now is posturing rather than preparation for an immediate resumption of strikes. Trump is going to buy some time here to see if the economic pressure, the naval blockade, can't convince the Iranians to compromise and to put on the table a deal that would meet Washington's demands.
Right. I mean, you mentioned the naval blockade as a method of putting pressure, and also the fact that Americans, on the other hand, are not exactly happy with this war in terms of how popular it is back in the US. But in terms of time and in terms of economic pressure, who really has time on their side? Is it the US? Is it the Iranian regime? Because we're also looking at spillover and ramifications of this blockade on other countries as well.
I mean, that's kind of the $6 million question that nobody knows the answer to. Which side is going to blink first? Which side can sustain more economic pain? Clearly, the Iranians have already suffered a lot of damage to their infrastructure, to their leadership, to their military capability. And now, because they're unable to export oil, their oil wells are going to be turned off because storage is full. They're not getting the revenue that comes from the export of oil. That is revenue that Iran has needed and used to keep the lights on, to keep functioning. So there's a lot of pressure on the Iranian side. Here in the United States, the country is to some extent less affected by the impact on global energy markets because we're a major oil and gas producer. So yes, gasoline prices here are rising close to $4.50 a gallon, but the real impact is in Asia, it's in Africa, it's in places that are more dependent upon exports from the Persian Gulf. One other issue that does to some extent affect the calculations of the Trump administration, the so-called War Powers Act. President Trump has now been at war for a couple of months. He now has to go to Congress for approval. They've said, well, we don't need to do that because we're now in a ceasefire. So that congressional pushback is yet, I think, another reason that the Trump administration is going to be slow to go back to the battlefield. It's going to give time for the sanctions, for the blockade to work.
Right. Clearly, as you mentioned, time is definitely of essence, along with the other issues that are compounding for both Iran and the US domestically as well. Thank you so much, Dr. Kapchan, for joining us on the broadcast.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.